in stats, I think I can say this is our last video. So I posted this just a little bit earlier today. Today is Wednesday, day before the AP test, at least the on-time test. And this is just a last-minute piece of paper. This is, I have a hard copy in the room, and there's a digital copy on Classroom. So these are common definitions that people mix up. So off the top of my head, look in the middle of the screen, correlation versus coefficient of determination. People mix those two up all the time, including on a recent quiz that we all took. So if it asks you for the coefficient of determination, it's asking what is the percent variation in y that is explained by a linear relationship with x. You just need to memorize that. If the calculator gives you r, just square it and you have r squared. If they give you a data output, it'll probably say r squared. So if you need r, if they ask you to interpret r correlation, you need to square root it, double check the sign of the slope. If the slope is negative, r is also negative. And you need to make sure you say the strength, the direction of the linear relationship between x and y. All right? So they are not picky on the strength. If it's close to 1 or -1, it's strong. If it's close to 0, it's weak. If it's in between, moderate. They do, I promise you, they do not care on that number scale that I gave you last semester. So just if you call 0.7 strong and someone else calls it moderate, no penalty whatsoever. They will give you both people for full credit. Okay, the very first definition is something that people get confused by, and they think just sounds really, I don't know, just really incorrect. But I promise you, that is the correct interpretation of SRS. They love to ask you about bias. If the sample is biased, how is it biased? In other words, is it underestimating or overestimating what you're trying to measure, whatever population parameter you're trying to measure? P-value, that is a really hard interpretation to nail and memorize, so please work on that. The test statistic, I've said it before, but not very often. That's z, t, or chi-squared when you run the test. You guys were pretty good at type 1 and 2 errors. Just go over that really quickly. Standard deviation, you guys are pretty good on that. Standard error is something we spent very little time saying that phrase, standard error, like we've said it before, but we didn't, I don't know, I feel like we didn't spend a lot of time on that. But that is the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. So if we're talking about means, we're talking about, oh, that's a funny sigma. We're talking about that or that. That's the standard error. If we're talking about proportions, we're talking about that. These two are typed on your formula chart. All right. There's a quick rundown of binomial versus geometric. Tried to give you a tiny bit of room in there to write any additional notes if you want. Don't forget about binomial PDF and CDF. Sampling distribution shape. This is really important that you mastered this concept. I summed it up as concisely as I thought I could. So please understand, especially this first sentence is vital. If n is small, the shape of this distribution will look like the population. That means if the population was normal, the sampling distribution is normal. But if it's skewed or unknown, then you can't say it's normal. If n is large, it will be normal. All right, that's it. I would say this page alone will get you a load of points on the AP test. All right, this is a good last-minute study guide. See y'all later. Bye.